Grandpa and grandson at Popeyes. When I was 5 years old, my dad took me to Popeyes for lunch. It was a tiny location and fairly empty, so you wouldn't expect anything to happen even if you're a kid going wandering off, since you can see them by just turning your head. My dad told me to grab a seat as he was ordering. I sat at the seat right in front of the counter, so my dad had his back to me literally 2 feet away. As he was ordering, an older man and a boy who looked about 12 years old sat at our table. There were plenty of empty seats around us, so there was no reason for them to sit with me. As a 5-year-old preschooler, I just thought they were being mean and stealing our seat, so I moved to the next table. They got up and sat at the table again. I was starting to get frustrated, so I changed seats again, only to have them follow me a third time. What makes it even weirder thinking back on it is that they were both smiling really creepily and staring at me. My dad finally finished ordering and walked towards my table. He made a what the fuck face when he saw the two guys sitting across from me. As soon as they saw my dad walking towards the table, they got up and left. I remember the first thing I told my dad was, "Daddy, they kept stealing our seats." He didn't really respond for that, or I don't remember what he said. So, creepy grandpa and grandson at Popeyes? Let's not meet again. Homeless guy in McDonald's bathroom. This happened to me a few years ago. It's not super creepy, but I do get chills when I think about it. Shortly after graduating from high school, I decided to work a few odd jobs in an attempt to raise money for college. One of those jobs ended up being at a state fair at Texas. Now, because I didn't have a car, I had to be dropped off by my dad at the front gates fairly early in the morning and wait for them to open. I hated waiting there, but I didn't have much of a choice in the matter. Anyways, one morning while waiting for the gates to open, I realized that I really had to pee. So I looked around. I decided to run across the street and use a restroom at the nearby McDonald's. Great, right? Always one nearby. I thought I might even use my pit stop there as an excuse to buy a McMuffin or something like that. As I enter the bathroom, I see that it's occupied by another man. Although he's not really using the toilet. He's got a big backpack sitting next to him on the floor, and it looks like he's changing his clothes or something. Not wanting to be rude and stare at him, I decided to ignore him and go about my business. Now, this bathroom is pretty small. There's really only one stall, a urinal next to it, and a sink. The guy is not in the stall, so I'm just using the urinal. He's basically standing right behind me. I'm already feeling a little uncomfortable, and I'm hoping I can quickly do my business and just leave, get the fuck out of there, right? He feels the need to try and carry on a conversation with me. God damn it. I'm wearing my work uniform, and he asks me if I'm working at the fair across the street. I say, yeah. And he starts going on about how lucky I am to have a job, and how tough it is to make a buck nowadays. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there wishing I hadn't had so much coffee because this piss is taking forever, and I just want to get the heck out of there. He continues and continues and continues to tell me his life story, and gives me some sob story about his girlfriend and his mother and how he's homeless now, etc. Then he starts asking me if I could please buy him some food. I like to think I'm a good person, right? So I figured I'll go ahead and buy this guy something to eat. What's the harm? Even if he is a scam artist, McDonald's is pretty cheap. So I agreed to buy him food. However, he then suggests that I get him something at a nearby grocery store. I suppose the food is cheaper there or something, and assume he's just trying to be nice and help me get a better deal. I wasn't too sure where he was talking about, but he told me to follow him and he would eventually lead me there. According to this guy that I had just met in the public bathroom, it was just down the block. So we exit the McDonald's and begin walking down this back alley on our way to some store I've never heard of. I didn't see any buildings nearby that looked like the kind of store he was talking about, and I actually walked with him for a few minutes down this alleyway before I got smart and snapped out of it. All of a sudden, I realize how sketchy this whole situation is, and I stop in my tracks. Immediately, I turn to the guy and say, "Hey, why don't I just buy you something to eat at the McDonald's? I mean, we're already here. Doesn't that make more sense?" He paused for a minute, and then told me that I could get a better deal at this other place, a way better deal. He was trying to save me money. I told him I really didn't mind, and that I'd buy him whatever he wanted at McDonald's. I mean, it was cheap food anyways, right? It was fast food. He begrudgingly agreed, and we both walked back. I think I ended up buying him 2 breakfast platters or something like that. I don't really remember. He thanked me for the food, but he seemed much less sincere after I decided not to follow him through the alleyway. I don't know if he really did have an ulterior motive or if he was just a little off-kilter, but something just didn't seem right about him. So, homeless guy at McDonald's, let's not meet again. Creepy customer closing night. So, this happened to me when I was 19, working my second job. I worked at Chipotle, and one of my closing duties as a cashier was cleaning the dining area as well as the restrooms. Fun, right? I'd been on the job for about half a year, and I honestly preferred the closing shift because it was far more relaxing than the morning rush. It was in the last 40 minutes before closing, and we suddenly had a small cluster of customers come in. Great. One man in particular, I would say was a frequent customer. He would always come in every other weekend. I'm terrible at names, but I'm always good at faces, and he seemed to have remembered my name after just meeting me one time. Now, I always have my happy to help smile on, but he always had a habit of making my smile drop, you know? It's not that he would say anything bad in particular, he just had a creepy way about him. On this particular night that he dined in, while everyone else in the small clutter of people came and went, he sat alone at a circular table facing my register, eyes watching me. Every time I would look up, I would catch him staring at me. He didn't even bother pretending that he wasn't. He would just lock eyes with me until I would step in the back just to get away from his peering eyes. It was so fucking creepy. It was really, really fucking creepy. Thankfully, we had 10 more minutes and it looked like no one else was coming in, so we started closing duties early. Great. My manager wanted me to clean the bathroom since he didn't want me to rush my creepy onlooker. I was glad too, and went to grab the mop bucket and solution to scrub the restrooms. Now, the restrooms were right around the corner a few feet from the register. The bad thing was that our fountain drink blocked our view, so we could never tell who was coming in or going to the bathroom. It was all really confusing. I mentioned this because what happened next is what took my night from creepy, simply creepy, to actually fucking disgusting. As I went and I cleaned the female restroom, I did it pretty quickly, and I suddenly heard the door open. I mean, at least I thought I did, but I didn't hear the clunk of the door closing, so I thought maybe I was hearing things, you know? The men's restroom always required a lot more attention, so I didn't think much of it as I rushed in there quickly, trying to finish my job early. What I fucking saw made me blink in disbelief and in disgust. There, standing by the urinal facing the entrance of the door with his dick out, stroking it pretty hard, was the guy from the dining area. With a fucking disgusting lewd look in his face and in his eyes, he tried taking a step forward. I was horrified, and all that came out loudly was, "Why?" Really loudly, which must have freaked him out, because he tackled it into his pants pretty quickly. I should have blocked him, but as he rushed by me, I stepped back and ran towards my register area, swearing and trembling. When the guys cleaning grill noticed, they came out asking what was wrong, and I started bawling. They got my manager, and he wrote down the incident in his note. After that, I got sent home. I would love to say they caught the son of a bitch, but they didn't. He got away with flashing me, and has made me extremely paranoid about public restrooms. I'm the type of person who dwells on shit like this, and I still can't stop myself from wondering if he had hid, could have very well assaulted me. I hate to think about it. So, flashing jerkbag, let's not meet ever again.